How are you today? This is Peter Christian Hessing, and welcome again to another one of our interesting, important programs. I hope you're having a great day, that you are seeking God and Jesus and Yahweh or Allah or Jehovah or Jesus, and you're right with God, and that God and Jesus or Jehovah, Yahweh, Jesus, Allah will bless you and your family and kids and children, and that we can have peace in the world, save the world from all these wars, and prevent nuclear wars, and end poverty and homelessness, and have health care for everyone, and peace and love bring all the world together. Americans, Russians, and Chinese, and Arabs, and Jews, and Muslims, and Christians, Americans, African Americans, Jamaicans, West Indian Americans, Hispanics, Europeans, Australians. Bring all the world together and to have peace in the world. Yes, I'm Peter Christian Hessing. I am a United States citizen. I was born in Jamaica, but I'm a United States citizen. I do live here in America. I try to start my day out with the Bible. I have it right here for me. I read a psalm, from the Bible. And then I'd probably read some of the Gospels. St. John is like one of my favorites, and then you can St. John or St. Matthew or Mark or Luke, and then you can read the other writings there, Peter and Paul and Romans and Corinthians, and on to Revelations and so forth. But it's always good to start out with reading something from the Bible and a prayer, because there's a God out there, a God who created this universe and earth, who loves us and wants us to overcome all the problems, wars, and he wants us to stop nuclear destruction and stop all these wars and end poverty. There's a God out there who's saying to mankind, you can stop these problems. You can save the world. Let man and woman, you have to save the world. It is in our power there. And as you see now, that we have a very tense situation in the world there, where you have a situation where in Syria, where Russia has gone in and started, bombing some of the people who are fighting for their democracy in Syria. Over 300,000 people have died, and you have millions of refugees. And it creates a situation where you can have America and Russia nearly confronting each other. It could lead to a war, conventional or a nuclear war. We surely don't want that. I'm a patented inventor. I have had inventions. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I was lucky to go to Harvard University, still trying to working on my master's degree there. But we as Christians or human beings, we have to do something when we see that type of suffering going on. And I really think probably the only solution there in Syria is that we're going to have to try and get a ceasefire. But I think if we can't get a ceasefire, we're going to have to basically partition the country, have a section for the opposition and a section for Assad, and then negotiate to have peace, have a section there where you have for the refugees. The refugees are starving and dying. So we need really to partition the country, set up a new Syrian state, and have a no-fly zone there. Actually, more than 100 countries or more have actually regarded the opposition government as the legitimate government of Syria. So we have to do that, I think, there temporarily when Assad leaves that section of Syria, and situations normalize and become peaceful. Then we can reunite the country into one. But right now, I think if the ceasefire doesn't work, we really have to, I think whether it works or not, to really set up a new sovereign Syrian state for the opposition and the refugees, because the refugees are starving and we have to get food to them. And then gradually have a transitional government there. There is already a government in exile, so to speak, for Syria that is already recognized. So all we have to do now is set up a geographical area in Syria, whether we're going to put them in Aleppo north or south or east or west. I mean, that is for the Syrian opposition to decide what areas do they want to have there. But the problem is that we here in America, we don't really need to start a war with Russia over Syria. I've written to President Obama about it, that we really don't need to go in and start a war with Russia. There's no need for that. But the Syrian people, we have to help the refugees, provide humanitarian assistance and give the necessary support to the opposition so that they are not slaughtered by the Russians and the Syrian government. So that is what I think we need to do. And we have to make sure that there is not a war between America and Russia over Syria. We really don't want to do that. We can have an international peacekeeping force where other countries can come in and monitor this new partitioned Syria there to make sure that there is no abuses, that you don't have this bombing by the Russians and so forth. So that is something that we can negotiate with the Russians and the Syrian government. Two Syrias there. We have to do something about nuclear warfare. We have to prevent that. There are about 17,000 nuclear weapons in the world, and we have to definitely reduce that amount and go towards global zero. I've been writing to President Obama about it. I've also written to Hillary Clinton, who's running for the presidency. We definitely have to reduce those nuclear weapons, as you see what is also happening in North Korea. North Korea has constantly been testing hydrogen bombs or nuclear missiles there. And also the problem with Iran, we are trying to prevent Iran from acquiring. But the thing is now is that our technology is shifting. I'm an inventor. I've had a US patent. And I have worked on and studied and invented and designed a lot of systems that are there, that are possible. And one of the systems that we're recommending is that we have a 24/7 inspection monitoring by the International Atomic Agency of all the weapons in the world, so as to prevent countries from launching a nuclear missile. So what you really would have is a 24/7 system, and this is just a brief sketch. I'm going to do more for you, but it's going to be a 24/7 system where the international agency would monitor all the nuclear weapons, like up in Russia. Russia is threatened to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine and against the United States. You'd have a monitoring system by the International Atomic Agency in Russia. You would go to North Korea, China. India and Pakistan needs it because they're constantly at war. Also in Britain and France, and here in America, where the International Atomic Agency would just monitor all the weapons on a 24/7 basis on planes, on ships and submarines, to make sure that no country launches a nuclear missile. We really have to ban the first right use of nuclear weapons. This is something that we have to do now that we're having a new presidential election coming on. I also told you that we invented and designed a new system, expanding system, as you can see here, where a nuclear missile would come in. Right here, would enter. The missile, our system would expand, taking that incoming missile, send it back to Russia or China or North Korea, where it was launched from. So we can build a system to do away with nuclear weapons. This system would actually make nuclear weapons obsolete. We applied for a patent on it, but there's a patent application number there. The reason why I applied for a patent was not to make money out of it, but the only way you're going to get a big company to build that type of system is to have a patent or a copyright. We have several copyrights on it. I'm going to talk more. Thank you, God bless. Peter Christian Hessing.